Welcome back, my fellow aggressive learners. In this episode, we shall begin with what we call unit. CSS what? CSS unit. CSS units, right? Unit, or call it values, all right? So there are units of measurements. You must have heard all this, right? So in this, we're going to look at some of the units you do in CSS, all right? And such unit that we're going to be considering in this section might include some of such units might include pixel, all right, which you normally abbreviate as px. What do you call it? Pixel. All right, so we're going to be talking about pixel, and we shall be talking about rem, cal function, and percent, mean, and I think that should be about it. All right, so these are all units of measurement in CSS. They help us to give size, to define width, and all right, and all those things. So we're going to be taking them one after the other, and the very first one we're starting with is pixel. All right, so we're going to be working with pixel. Let's quickly go ahead and do a demonstration of that. Let me do h1 and then maybe write something. We are learning units of value, right, in CSS. All right, I think that's okay. Now with this, I think you can see. Now let's get down to this CSS. So exactly what is pixel? Pixel is the smallest dot or square that makes up an image. All right, so let's say this screen you're seeing, if you begin to study it, there's the smallest amount of square that define the resolution of this browser. All right, so if you pick an image, for instance, on this screen, in fact, the smallest amount of dots that make up the entire of this resolution of this screen, the smallest amount of dots is called pixel. There is no image. The quality of an image depends on what? On the number of pixels it contains. Depends on the number of pixels it contains. All right, so the higher the number of pixels, the higher the quality of that image, and so on and so forth. I don't want us to dive into that, but for now, all I want you to know is that a pixel is the smallest dot on a screen, or smallest dot or square that make up an image. All right, for now, that's all I want you to know. And as we proceed into this course, I will get to let you know that pixel is what? Is an absolute value. When you say something is absolute, it means that it is not depending on anything. It is depending on itself. It is absolute. All right, so font is the size of the font, width, and all that. So let's go ahead and try that. Remember, we have h1, so let's use the h1 selector. I think that should be nice. H1 selector. So the first thing I want us to do is what? Font size. Remember, there's a property called font size, and font size can take the value of pixels. All right, so you can say font size 30 pixel. That means the number of squares or dots that you want is 30 of them. Now let's save this and watch the effect. Is 30. So let's go ahead and increase it to 80 and see what happens. You can see that means every of this letter is already taking what? 80 pixels. A is taking 80 pixels. R is taking 80 pixels. E is taking 80 pixels. Capital W is taking 80 pixels. All right, so each of them, every pixel inside of this letter is represented with a size of what? 80 pixel. Every one of them, as long as these letters are concerned, that are contained in these images or letters, they contain 80 pixel specifically. All right, and the value, the size of pixel cannot change. It will remain the same size irrespective of what? Of the shape of your screen. All right. So, but the way it look in different screen also matters, but the size, the pixel size will not change irrespective of the shape of your screen. So if you have a very small phone, you know how this will actually look very ugly, but the size will remain the same. That is what we mean that it's an absolute value. The size will remain the same, but on your screen it will cover your screen, but the size will remain the same. So imagine that you increase this to 200. Watch as it is now. We don't have any scroll button here, but let's increase this to 200, or yeah, 200, and watch this size become different. If I expand, of course you won't see it again. So the size or the pixel will remain the same irrespective of your what? Of your screen size. So it is now up to you to sit down and say, for small screen let it be this size of pixel, and for big screen let it be what? This size of pixel. So let's leave it at 70. I think that's okay. Now let's define the width of this. Can we give a background so that our work will be making sense? Let's give this in a background color. You know I love using red. You know I love using red. So but I'm going to use a hexadecimal this time around. So I'm going to use F3, and then I'm going to put the other ones to be what? To be 0. Sorry. I want to use the lowest value. Let me use 13. 13, yes. 1A or 1B. 1C. That's okay. Let me do 3C. I think this red is, yeah, yes. Then let's make the letter to be white. Color white. All right. So what's that? Hex value will be just FF, and that's it. So we are white. Now let's go ahead and continue what we're doing, so you understand what pixel does to a picture. So let me quickly do let's say width. Remember we say the width of this. Width means, look at this, you can see this is H1 tag. All right, this is the width of this H1 tag, or whatever it is it span through the entire screen. All right, which is currently exactly the size of what? Of the screen. But let me give it my own width and see. I want the width to be what? To be 100 pixel. Watch the behavior that will happen. So let me quickly save. You can see it doesn't matter the size of the screen, the width of my lid or anything I have has become 50 pixel. Remember we say pixel is an absolute value, so irrespective of the screen the size will remain the same. All right, so it is now up to you to define it to look like the screen you want it to display. So if you're designing for mobile, you change the pixel size. If you're designing for a tablet, you also change the pixel size on that. All right, so let's assume that this is also 300 or 200. You can see the effect immediately, almost immediately. So pixel value is used to what? Increase the size of what? Of your can be used to increase the width of your selector, all right, or an element or whatever it is for your class. Now let's also look at height. Height, you can also measure them in pixels. So I'm going to say height, let's say 500 pixel. This is the current height. Watch the way it will change automatically. You can see it has adjusted. So you can see, you can play along with this side, and the value will not change irrespective of how you increase the size of your screen. The value will not change. It is up to you to redefine it for your device. If you have a small device, you can define the height you want it to be in your device. Otherwise it will fool your screen and you will not see something, because the size, pixel size, are absolute value. They will remain the same throughout on any device and other. It is up to you to define what you want. So understanding this, that pixel is an absolute value, I think that is one thing that you need to know. So at least in this case you have seen what exactly is font size. Font size means the size of this font. All right, you have chosen a font, let's say Roman numeral or whatever it is. You give it a size and you can manipulate that size using what? Pixel. That is what we said. This can be 100, watch the size of the letters will increase automatically, and my width is still 100. There's a complaint. The whole thing is complaining, so I can decide to increase it to what? To 800, and then watch the magic. You can see. So you can increase it to 1000 or 12. All right. So it's totally up to you. But all I wanted you to understand in this session is that what pixel is an absolute value, and pixel is the smallest dot or square in a screen, and you can measure your width of an element, the width of an element with pixel. All right, and you can measure the height of an element with pixel. You can measure the font size with pixel, and of course there are so many other properties that can be measured with pixel, not just these guys. But however, you already know what pixel means, so when you see somebody applying pixel, don't be confused. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Sadiko, and then I'll see you in the next class. I'm hopeful you've gotten the gist. Thank you.